Welcome to Knock Your Socks Off, the podcast. I'm Ravi, joined by...
I'm Hannah.
And Hannah, what are you knocking my socks off with today?
Well, we literally just got done watching The Bear, and so we're going to talk all about it, and let's just see if we can keep our socks on, if you will.
I was going to say, instead of like us keeping our socks on, are we going to... Because we have these delicious deli sandwiches right in front of us.
We do.
We already had half each, right?
We did.
We have our other half.
Uh-huh.
And the goal is... finish the pod, then you can eat the other.
Yes, this could be a really fast pod.
Very fast, because I'm still hungry, quite hungry. And I really want my like Italian looking sub thing here.
We had to have subs in a sense, because even though at this point the Bear is no longer a sub restaurant or just a sandwich restaurant, it sounds like I'm saying hamburger store, like in Always Sunny, a sandwich shop. We just thought, got to have a little Italian deli moment. And but we have them now. Now we're just smelling them and their props, but now we definitely want to eat these props. So it'll be as fast as possible to get through this. But yeah, I'm just excited to talk about the show. And it's been one of my favorite shows in the past. Has it been out for 3 years now? I mean, it's third season, obviously, but like, was it? I'm trying to kind of actually think if it was.
I believe
like
it was 2020, wasn't it?
I think it was 2020
when it first appeared into the world.
Yeah,
maybe 21 actually.
Maybe 21.
I mean, I could look
Either
it up.
way, I'm super pumped to be talking about it. And
22, June 23rd.
Okay, so one show, one season.
June 20. Wow, yeah. The first one was June 23rd, 2022.
Yeah.
June 22nd, 2023.
And then now
June 26th, 2024. So we are, I mean, so this is the third season, and the rumor is they've already been, well, it's not a rumor. They already got the fourth season greenlit. The rumor is they already shot it.
Yeah.
But even if they have, I mean, I don't know. If they have shot it, then we will probably get sooner. But something tells me we may have to wait another fucking year. And this
we might have to wait a year.
Spoilers ended with a to be continued, which is a first for the show.
Absolutely. And now, granted, they've left on a cliffhanger each season. There's always been a space where it's like, well, I mean, I guess after first season, I think they were probably thinking, it's not. I mean, it obviously got the full show. It wasn't just a pilot, but I do think there was a space where like they could have, in a sense, cleanly ended almost just like a mini series after season one. But good point on this. That was totally where my brain was going to. Just so we're going to be talking about spoilers. We've watched all of season 3. We hope by the time you're listening to this pod, you've watched all of season 3. If not, go watch it, come back, or let it be spoiled for yourself, and we'll just kind of go from there. But yeah, spoilers alert. So go take care of that.
Here's one major spoiler. A lot of people feel like there wasn't a whole lot that happened this season. So
right. So, but we're going to be talking on the things that did happen. And so if you want to see those things yourself and then come back to this, or you can, hear our discussion and check it out for yourself. But in the essence of it being kind of, not an ode to sandwich shop, because it's not, again, just a sandwich shop anymore. But we have sandwiches in front of us. And so I also thought it would be kind of funny to start us off with some discussion on our take on sandwiches at large. What to you makes a good sandwich?
Bread, lots of meat, little vegetables, not a crap ton of sauce.
Right. You're somewhat anti-sauce of a person.
Yes, because sauces ruin a sandwich's like structure of the bread because it soaks into the bread.
Yeah.
Then the bread falls apart.
Yeah.
And then also, sometimes I can't finish a whole sandwich.
Sure.
And, I want to save that sandwich. And if you take a soggy sandwich, put it in the fridge, and then attempt to eat it like later or the next day, it's just a big fucking mess.
It's just a mess. Got it.
So I do not like my sandwiches or burgers, because I consider burgers to like...
Oh, are we getting into that
heated sandwich
conversation? Is a taco a sandwich? Is, all those, is a hot dog a sandwich? We could get into that, but
yeah, we're not going to, but yeah, I liked my sauces separate or very little sauce.
Did you appreciate the joke in this season of The Bear where they were making jokes about people adding mayo to stuff and just being like,
true.
if you're throwing in mayo on this, like just go ruin the sandwich for yourself.
Ruin it yourself. I mean,
now you like mayo, but it's just
like mayo.
You don't need all of it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there are some condiments that don't ruin the structure of a sandwich.
Yes.
Ketchup, mustard,
sure,
mayonnaise. Like, they are absorbed because they're not like a more liquid type of sauce.
Right, they're not like a balsamic or something.
Yeah, they're thicker sauces. Yeah. So they don't necessarily ruin the structure.
Yeah.
While, like, for example, like, some people will get like a beef sandwich or whatever, and they'll get it wet. And that's where you take like the, was it the au jus?
Uh-huh.
And you fucking pour that shit all over it.
Dip it.
Yeah. I mean, well, the dipping is nice because you're in control.
That's the bite size.
That's the bite size, right? Fair. But like when you get it wet, right? Yes. You're very limited in that reheatability or leftover ability of that sandwich because it's fucking soaked. So if you don't eat the whole fucking thing, like, are you gonna eat a soggy sandwich like, you know, tomorrow or whatever? That's gross.
It's gross.
That's disgusting.
Interesting. Okay. And then what is like your preferred bread? Because as you're saying,
bread so is like kind of this particular sandwich that I have in front of me, which is like kind of a meatier, classically Italian sub. Nice. It's like a thicker exterior bread.
Should we do ASMR?
I don't know.
Can you hear this?
You hear that?
Ooh, yeah.
So that's like a nice hard crust, and then the internals, it's like a nice soft, fluffy internal. And then also with this bread, like I appreciate this sandwich shop. They also kind of went in and took out some of that extra bread to ultimately like help with the structure of the sandwich.
You should do
so
the,
that,
you
like,
should do the influencers with the hand.
With the hand thing. Well, I mean, how we've got our cameras set up, like it doesn't work, but yeah. So I like this is a
quality sandwich. It's a quality bite. Each bite had a good juice, all the things. Oh, no,
I don't care. I'm just taking a bite right screen.
Now. Ooh. I really want this.
That's a good bite.
I really want the audio to be able to have caught. Nice.
Good bite, well. Good sandwich.
Good soup. All right. Well, while you're
there was no way in hell we were going to do this whole pod without eating. Like, I'm hungry.
You're like, let me.
I
have
need some fucking food.
People are not going to be watching this for consistency, or no, cohesive. What is the word? It's continuity. They're going to be like, how many bites actually are taken per moment?
Yeah.
No. Well, while you're finishing your bite, I am pro sauce. I love a leftover, and I know how to like repurpose a sandwich or like reconfigure, if you will, for the next day if I need to, if it is a soggier sandwich, because I love sauce. If you got a creative sauce on there, to me that does make it an elevated moment, just because at home I have, like I said, I have all the staples, and I love making a sandwich at home, but I'm not usually gonna like put a creative sauce on there or something necessarily. So when I go out, in a sense of wanting to like get things that I can't or don't usually make at home, someone with a good sauce or a good glaze or like a different, I mean, for sure an au jus of sorts too, but you know, the space to like, I do love a sauce. So I'm pro sauce, but the bread is super important. And I even like, this one has like a brioche moment, which is like kind of nice and fluffy, which is great. But I love more of a baguette kind of French.
Yeah. And I think this is a baguette type
I think
of
so
bread.
too. Yeah. It's definitely not French because it's got a good crust on it, I guess I'll say, which is lovely. So I spent a bit of time in New Orleans, and a po' boy sandwich was just so good because their French bread was always fluffy, but with good crust and like, again, like pretty simple sauces, but always good insides and, you know, a great, you don't usually, the po' boy doesn't usually make it to day 2. At some point you're eating the rest of it.
I mean, when I went to New Orleans that one time for a work trip, like we were on Bourbon Street and they like had like po' boys. Yeah, that was the thing that you grab, and like, you know, it's a pretty decent size. And I ate the whole thing.
They're decent. Yeah, they're good. It's a quality. Yeah,
hearty meal.
Especially when you're in New Orleans and you just need some
carbs,
some carbs and protein, just quick to your system
to absorb whatever. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. But okay, so sandwiches. The Bear started as a sandwich shop. It's evolving. This is season 3. We know there's going to be a season 4. So let's just like get into it. One of my first questions in a sense is that this show continues to be slated as a comedy, or in the awards shows it's put as a comedy, but what are your takes?
It's a drama.
It's a fucking
drama. I don't know why they think it's a comedy.
This show stressed.
It's also like it talks about like real fucking things that are happening to everyday people.
Yes.
There's the Tina episode that talks about like her origins and how she got to the shop.
I cried, y'all. We'll get to that too, but I cried in that episode.
But that episode was like really good because like it shows that, you know, people with who are being laid off from their jobs, finding their purpose, like. Yeah. So I can't see how this show's a fucking comedy.
I know.
Again, like I don't like award shows. I think they're all stupid and just a dumb popularity contest.
Yeah.
But it's like very clear to me that whoever is like, oh, this is a comedy, like they don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Right. It's kind of like they had to probably. I mean, for the award shows, they have to put it in some sort of category. Yeah. But it's like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, maybe in season 1, it wasn't like a drama of like who done it or
Sure.
will they, won't they, or like it's not set in a hospital, you know, like it's not the, you know, big time, you know, dramas of the world or, you know, big suspense like police shows. But from the jump, I was like, how is this a comedy? Like I see what I do love is there's a space of like in any part of life, like there are things we find that we can laugh about or that there are points of life, and definitely throughout this season of the show as well, is like they very clearly put points in to laugh at, you know, or to kind of bring levity to a moment. But yeah, every now and then I'm just kind of like, I am so stressed watching this show. Like, how is this a comedy, you know? And it's like, yeah, it's always just
somebody
like
just, I feel like somebody misclassified it, and then they had
and then now they're like, great, we'll win all the awards because we're different, and
for the most fucked up comedy ever.
Honestly, it's wild.
I think Willow. There's that Elijah Wood show I was telling you about where the dog comes. I don't know if it's Willow, but that one's classified as a comedy, and I can see that's got more comedic elements. But that would be like more dark comedy. Yeah, because it also touches about some really fucked up actual real life things.
Right, which The Bear does too. Yeah, I mean it's like very much. They went to multiple funerals in this season. You watched someone like in labor, which is like traumatic as well.
Yeah,
like
they didn't make baby birth pretty. They made it scary as fuck.
Right. There was no romanticizing like, oh, like you're in labor now. And, you know, it's like, or I mean, they had dealt with unemployment. Yeah. It's like, there are all these things that I'm like, these are very real things happening, and they are not candy coating it or putting this like, you know, in a sense, magical spin to it. We have a lot of characters. We keep really getting into, you know, they kind of like, I love how The Bear does still like, kind of like picks different people, like how we had in season 2 a big episode with Marcus where he went to Copenhagen or whatnot. I love that we had an episode with Tina, as you noted, and I love that we had an episode even with Sugar, like kind of, and her mom and Donna in the different spaces. But we keep kind of diving into different stories on each character, or kind of like the bigger ones, if you will, the main ensemble. But do you have a favorite character of the show, or like someone that you get extra excited about when, you know, because not everybody actually is in every episode
No,
anymore.
definitely not. Yeah. I this is a strange one, but like I think my character, besides like the main ensemble and the main cast, I think my secondary favorite character, because like I love the main cast. I think they're all great.
They're incredible.
So I don't want to pick any of them.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll pick like out of the secondary. It's gonna be Joel McHale's, the asshole chef.
Sure.
Because we get pieces of him in terms of flashbacks, and then just Carmy like having like breakdowns and like thinking he sees him, and then we finally see him in the finale, and they actually have like an actual conversation.
Yeah.
And like the guy isn't like remorseful of how he treated Carmine. Like he feels that Carmine should like owes him an apology, and I think
owes him gratitude. Like, hey man, thanks for doing that.
Yeah. And I think that what is interesting with that is like why I like that is because it's like it is truly the biggest asshole on the planet that truly believes how they treat people is okay. And like is like true to who they are. Like you can't like if you're gonna be an asshole and you're gonna own it, you have to own it all the way. And that character is owning it all the way. Yeah. And I think that's interesting, and like that's fair. I'm not saying I aspire to be something like that, but like I appreciate a character, because especially like when you're watching, you know, a story like this isn't nonfiction, it's not fiction, it is loosely based on actual chefs like experiences and things.
And there were a lot of chefs. I mean, we by no means know every chef that was featured, like who essentially played themselves, but there was a lot of like chefs throughout the season, so, which was cool.
Yeah,
so
especially in the Chicago scene.
Yeah, and so it was cool to feel like that was very co-signed, if you will, again, because they're not maybe telling one chef's story, but they're kind of this like
talking about a bunch
the experience as a chef.
Yeah, but I think it's always nice when you are seeing a fictional story, or something presenting as fiction, that like they keep the asshole character the asshole, because in the real world an asshole is an asshole. They don't just suddenly, I'm really sorry for the way I treated you. I think what would have been interesting is if instead of them doubling down on that he is an asshole, is to kind of like further discredit Carmine as our narrator, is if like Joel McHale's character was like, I didn't do any of that to you. Like, I think that would have been kind of interesting, because like the thing with Carmine and his family is that unfortunately we do see that they suffer from a lot of mental health issues. Yeah. And this would have been a way to kind of add potentially another layer to his story of what's going on, etc. Like I had a bizarre theory, and I still kind of believe my theory with Karma and his like overall health. But
do you want to share that?
Oh yeah, so my theory is like Carmine knows that he's sick. I think that Carmine knows that he's limited in time in some way.
Like not mental health, but you're thinking
lung cancer,
health.
something of that nature.
Right, and him
I don't know.
smoking.
Like, I mean, there's a couple of like things that are presented where Carmine's like, I don't have time. Time is a big like important factor to him.
Yeah.
Granted, now like the chefs that trained him, their big like mantra was like every second counts. So it could also be like that's where that's coming from.
And when anybody's gone through massive loss, I feel like you just are literally living on this place of like time is precious and a gift.
Yeah. So that theory may be out the window. Who knows? But again, back to the Joel character. Like I think that he is my favorite character because it is true to like real life.
Yeah. Fair.
Plus, Joel probably had the best fucking time acting and like imagine like
he just got to be pissy the whole. Just got to be
like you're doing take after take. You're just like more asshole, asshole. Like
give it to me.
I mean, I don't know. Like if I had to act in something, I'd be like, I want to play an asshole.
Yeah, like let me live
like
into
part
it.
Part of acting, right, is like you need to truly believe what you're doing. I think I could do that.
Sure,
like that's the only character.
Like, this is why I'm doing it. I mean, they clearly also like whether in season 1 and any of the flashbacks they've ever filmed with Joel, if the directors gave him here's your why, but I think the like essentially him explaining the why now, like. The essence of like every there's always a space of like every villain in a story, like any actor I've ever heard talk about if they get to play if they're playing a villain is as a villain you do believe what you're doing is right.
Yes.
Like there aren't usually a villain that's like unless you're like fucking in Despicable Me where Groot like wanted to be he's like I want to be evil just to be evil and then he of course became the hero.
Right.
But like the space of like most of the time or generally a villain doesn't think they're the villain. They're doing what they believe is right, and they're moving forward in that. And so they have a why. And so I really love that we essentially, not because we got this like villain monologue from Joel McHale's character, which I'm actually not even sure if he has a name. I'm sure he has a name.
Yeah, there was a name.
There was a chef name for him, obviously, but
was it Will Poulter's character?
Yeah.
It says his name.
Oh, okay.
I forget what it is though.
Anyway, but like just this space of like he just has this aura and essence, and especially just like fully like takes over Carmi's brain in those moments. But like so we don't get this like villain monologue to hear or to make him relatable or make him like we like him now. But like the space of like oh no, he just fully believed what he was doing. And
he believes
he saw the purpose and he kind of spins it back to Carmi and is like. You should be grateful.
You're a great chef now. Like, what's the problem here?
Like, if you wanted this to become your life, and I helped, if not made you do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, super side tangents on villains. It's like if you look at just simply Marvel and all the movies that there have been, the villains that you remember the most are the villains that have like good actual reasoning. Like a Thanos is a good villain because there is actual reasoning behind what he's doing. And he truly believes what Josh Brolin's portrayal of that, like he truly believes what Thanos is doing is the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's why Loki was so good, or I think had so many arcs that he did because we like people in a sense like understood the essence of wanting to be a part of a family or wanting to have belonging.
Purpose,
glorious purpose.
Yep. There you go.
And yeah, so
Joel McHale's character is the Thanos level villain that we've all been waiting for in The Bear.
In The Bear, with the snap of his fingers.
Damn.
Okay, I just like there's always almost like for my like yes like because I love Carmi and Sid like which are like in the two mains, but there is from season 1 the relationship of Richie and Tina has like always just been this space where it's like they are like the backbone of the Bear or like kind of what we see when Carmi gets into it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I would say like season 1 I was just like swept off my feet. Season 2 my favorite character was Richie. And in season 3 I think they definitely like I think we've had in a sense more time with Tina in other spaces, or especially through season 1 with her like calling everybody Jeff for a while until she kind of said chef to Sydney. I think there was we spent more time with her to get the arc, but I really just like really loved the season 3 like her featured episode to where to me it had me like even further sink of like oh like I just like So yeah, in the essence of like, I don't know who I want to make my absolute favorite character. Like, I don't know how to pick or could pick, but I just really loved Tina's character and just like, again, this kind of space of what she showed up as and the fact that Mikey like met her in that. And then also, so beautifully, even just in the writing of that episode or just of and then in kind of totality of the show, was a great way to keep the portrayal of Mikey's character alive in a sense like bleeding through the show, but not have it just in relationship to Carmi, which then, so to me, it's just like the depth of Tina in that episode adds so much depth to the bear, adds so much like of these like stakes of like that this staff wants the bear to thrive. And, even as they're like, so thus they're opening the, walk up window for just the sandwiches and all that stuff. Like they're kind of trying to stay creative. They all want this, they all want the star or like a good review to come back.
Yeah, they want to be successful.
All these things and kind of like, and Tina was much smaller kind of in other episodes aside from her featured episode. But there's just something when like Tina is on screen that I'm like, oh yeah, like it kind of like really kind of like, again, she still feels like such like this like backbone of the kitchen and of the bear. And so it's like, oh, that's right. I'm watching the bear. Like this is like, I love Tina.
I think it's interesting, like with the standalone episode of like Marcus from season 2 standalone episode of Tina, like I think that the big thing is what they're showing us is that the restaurant the restaurant as a whole in terms of what Carmine's doing isn't working. It's just killing them. But the individual pieces that they're doing, is it Epidiah doing what is his name? Who's running Epidiah.
Ibram.
Ibram.
Yeah.
Ibram's running the window and that's working. Tina is like becoming her own, learning recipes.
She's sous chef,
doing sous chef and like coming up with
like,
recipes,
right?
And,
working at the farmers markets, like she's doing a lot more.
She's doing a lot more, and then Marcus like trying to figure out like his sleight of hand, like dessert. I think there's the episode of Legacy and like them talking about like when you train under other chefs, like a piece of that chef's knowledge is now in you, and then you pass it on as like a big family tree, right? Like Marcus and Carmine have that conversation, and I think that's what we're gonna start seeing. Is I think that everyone's gonna spin out. Like I could see like Marcus is like, I've learned what I can learn here. I'm gonna go open up my own pastry shop.
Sure.
I could see like Tina kind of making more of an authentic like mom and pop style shop for herself. I can see the bear just kind of reverting back to its core belief, like its core thing. Like remember, Carmine had a bunch of people come up to him and say like the locals aren't happy with you.
Sure.
Like you turned something that was like a local spot for them, and then you've turned it into this inaccessible thing.
Yes,
like they're talking
totally.
hundreds of dollars for a plate.
Totally.
And that's insane.
For a 3-hour meal too. Like it's not even just kind of like a, hey, come with your family and do this. It's like you're coming with like ready for like a 3-hour.
Yeah, which
it
works in some places, but like again, it comes back to the idea of like accessibility.
No, for
like
sure.
Not everybody can afford something like that.
100%.
So like it is nice that they still have the sandwich piece of it, but then it is like it's two restaurants, it's two different ideologies altogether.
Totally. Okay, so before we get into like the like in us probably just saying all the different thoughts or whatnot, is like kind of like the big bucket for me to talk about was the music of the show. What did you think for this season?
Well, I mean, episode 1, it's 9 Inch Nails. It's off of like their more orchestral album, and I called it, which I was very proud of.
You totally did.
And I think the music is great. The music has always been like a staple to the bear.
Yes.
And again, like they definitely like pumped it up again, like 150% here. Smashing Pumpkins at the end. Couple of classics from like the 70s in there as well. The one thing that's always interesting is like there's music consistently playing throughout.
Yes.
There's very rarely a scene that's done where there's no music.
But then even that feels really intentional.
Even that is super intentional.
100%.
There's like noise consistently.
Yes.
Which adds to like the chaos and the stress.
Totally.
Along insane close-ups and not letting us see fucking wides. God damn it.
Right. And you're just like, let's just get in onto their pores. Like, what is going on with the face? Like, it's so
just
intense.
Focus on that, and then like doing bokeh and blurring out the backgrounds, and just really like, it hurts.
It hurts.
Visually
it's just
hurts.
like literally, like we're like also like tired after watching the entire show because like okay, like I need to process it more. Thus here we are. I've always really liked the intentionality of the music in The Bear, as well as there's the essence of like it being a score, obviously, but also just like using music that we also know, and then also like keeps it's just so, I just feel like so much of the direction, which includes the composition, as well as like all of the different lighting and angles, and like they obviously, like, you often use blue lights, and then in the kitchen the lighting is like so bright and like so kind of like sterile, and like they're getting so clean with it, and I don't know, all these things, and the freezer is always blue. Like I just think it's like it's such a show of intentionality that like you just like can't help but like absorb the layers, and I think they do music in that so smartly,
so well, yeah.
And also like sometimes overwhelmingly so, where you're just kind of like literally in that episode 1 it was like, when can I breathe? Like when is it? But that's what this is you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, that episode 1 is basically a music video.
Oh, totally.
It's just a music video
of anxiety.
Yeah. Trent Reznor, and them were like, they were, National House would reach out and like, hey, we want to use this song. We're gonna make the music video a 27-minute episode. We're making 27.
Probably a 30-minute, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna make you a 27 music video for your song. You cool with that? Fuck yeah, let's go.
Absolutely. And that all of us like will at some point in the, because like it's like you realize the music is happening, but then you also don't realize the music is happening. And so then, but at some point you're like, I've been hearing this like. Because at some point, it was like, I've been hearing the same song actually for like 12 minutes in this thing. Yeah. And it still it
still works.
Because at first you kind of think in that episode 1 of like, is this still like the cold open basically? Is this still kind of like, oh, they're gonna introduce it in some different way, or like we're gonna stop doing this? Like they're gonna let up, right? But then they don't, and then it's kind of like, oh, they're not letting up the visuals. Oh, the sound is the same. Like we're listening to the same. Not the same cuts, obviously, but the same song. And and you're just on the edge of your seat, like, when can I breathe? When can I breathe? But it's like so real for anybody who's so like, Carmy is so clearly like wrapped in his own world. Yeah. As they all are, I think, as those different spaces. But let's just like, as if this is us not having gotten into it already. But let's like, because I actually really loved that opening. Like I loved that being kind of the kickoff of the season. Because also what I usually think of for shows is, especially in their 3rd season, is like the first one is like not like this like I mean, you do have to get pretty lucky to have a hit show all of a sudden. Like, so The Bear was lucky, Ted Lasso was lucky, Abbott Elementary was lucky. Like a lot of these comedies coming out lately, like you have to be lucky to essentially be so well received.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because like studios would argue and be like, no, it's not luck. We've done the research.
I know.
We pulled the numbers. We did the screenings.
We know what's
this
up.
Season that you watched, this is like the 15th iteration.
I know, which it probably is. But from my little naive point of view, there's a lot of like luck involved in timing and all the things.
Even like the best studios and the best plan, there is still that little percentage of luck. Yeah.
But like my thought is usually kind of also, again, which is probably my naivete, but let me live in it maybe for a little bit longer, is like in season 2, when they're writing it and kind of creating it still, they don't maybe know that they have the hit that they have. They obviously believe in the show, but like season 2 is usually, in my mind, is kind of like they still get to create their world without this like, oh, you have all these awards now and all this expectation and all these like things that your audience is looking for you for. But by season 3, if they've also like had a smash season 1 and a smash season 2, is like by season 3, kind of as in the restaurant itself, in the story of The Bear, is like, the expectation on you. Like, like we've risen to this level and we have to keep it at this level / grow it / all these things, for all the reasons, monetarily, keeping your staff busy, all the like all your crew booked and everything. But to be able to start the season off and to have, for me, I so enjoyed season 3, to have it be a space where it felt like they really were intentional to keep their creativity and not just like remake season 1 or kind of have it feel like the exact same thing. Like I'm not sure if like as people's reviews in a sense come out about the show, if people like that it wasn't the exact same or wasn't the kind of a really natural, like we're making this one big arc, like season 2 was like, we literally were like watching a calendar fly. We were watching the timer all the time. Like we had this arc of like, you have whatever gave them like 6 weeks to open a restaurant, you know, like there was like, that was a huge arc, where this one, we kind of slowly kind of got a bigger arc of like Sid with her like partnership decision or not, and the review coming out or not.
Yep.
Like we kind of got that, but it was like kind of almost like those were the big arcs, as if you will, but they were kind of almost like side arcs with all of the stories happening.
The development,
so it
everybody
felt
else
different, but I loved it because I'm like, the bear has always been really creative and really stressful and really like on the edge of my seat the whole time, and that's what it kept doing.
Yeah, that's the thing of the show. It's like that's its common thread is the stress and just the visuals. Changes in how they tell a story. I think the other thing that's really interesting with the season 3, season 2 came out peak COVID, like it was 2022.
100%.
And why I think that's interesting and important is because like if you look at it from a marketing and PR perspective, they weren't doing like big press junkets. They weren't doing a premiere.
No,
they weren't doing it. Everything was virtual. It was all weird virtual Zoom calls, and that's about it.
Yeah.
2023. What was happening this time last year? Writer's strike, actor strike.
Sorry.
So they weren't able to. They were weren't able to promote or do shit.
Right.
So this is the first year that this show has come out where they've done like a proper
like premiere
press release.
Sure.
Like we had Jeremy White who plays Carmine. I think he was on Colbert or Fallon, one of those talk shows.
Yeah, he was on Colbert. Yeah.
And he's like promoting and talking about the show and stuff. Like that's not really happened before.
Yeah.
So it's 100%. Like it's interesting that we have these actors like doing these like PR things and talking about the show, because previously they would be asked about the bear when they were promoting other things because it was in between these weird moments in time.
100%.
So I think that's an interesting factor too, and I think that also leads to higher expectations for the season.
Yeah,
because there's just so much more build up that was happening before the drop of this series. So and there's gonna be, even the next couple of weeks, we're gonna see more web series and things that are dropping. Like 100%. I'm sure Hot Ones is coming somewhere if it already hasn't happened.
Sure.
No, I think it did happen, didn't it? With one
who?
of them. I feel like somebody.
Oh, maybe I've missed it.
Maybe, yeah. So I think that also plays a big factor, but I think it's smart that they're changing the formula.
Yeah.
Because if you can maintain the formula, then it gets stale, it gets boring. So,
what did you think of kind of the arc of season 3 and kind of the?
Well, that's the thing is like we only got half an arc.
Yeah.
It's a to be continued.
Yeah.
There's not a full arc.
Truly. That's
It is like the main points, if you will, are a couple of points. I think it's the finances behind the restaurant. We learned that there is no more money, even though like our main crew don't know that.
Yeah.
The review.
Yeah.
Sydney's decision.
Yeah.
And then chasing the Michelin star. I mean, the Michelin star is probably the overarching like thing. Like that's the whole reason Carmine even came back, really. I mean, obviously it was also a way for him to like deal with what happened with his brother, but like that's the main thing that keeps him going. And then there's also like the Claire piece too.
So do you think he'll go back to her? What do you think that the Claire piece means? Kind of
I don't think the Claire piece like means a whole lot to the. I think it's going to add. The thing with like Carmine is like he takes forever to figure out he's wrong. Not that he's wrong, but it's like to fix and to apologize properly. So I don't think he's gonna apologize anytime soon. Yeah. I think something will have to happen. Yeah. Like unfortunately, maybe a character gets injured or passes, and that's how the two will reconnect. I think the Claire piece, while like there's a level of like even like as the facts like go to like tell her stuff or like kind of poke at Carmi the whole season of like go say sorry, like it's not that hard to say sorry, like all these things is I think like when Carmi kind of said the space of that Claire is peace to him or something, and I think that there's so much about this season or it felt anyway like uniquely so in people dealing with purpose and dealing with like kind of what why do what we do or why be who we are or something like that. And like even kind of at that round table at the very end, kind of when they're all at the restaurant at the Evers funeral or whatever kind of restaurant funeral, they were all kind of really reflecting, and I love that there were, again, a lot of chefs like involved in that scene, and however scripted those people were, or if they kind of just got to literally almost documentary style, go sit at this round table and they kind of told some of their favorite stories of the beginnings of their own restaurants and lives as chefs. But kind of, I think there was just this space where people like Sid and obviously Carmi was dealing with the whole Joel McHale stuff, but like this space of like kind of like how much of your life do you want to be about this, and that is what your life is about, rather than pursuing like life outside of the kitchen, if you will, and kind of like where
where that sits. And even obviously in Tina's episode, there was so much about, she was like, I just want to have a routine. I want to be able to contribute. And
I want
like
to
that
feed
was
my
really,
kid.
Yeah. And like the ability to do that and have there be a space where she can, but that her job was in order to fulfill like the life outside of her job kind of thing. I think there was a space where it's like, I think the Claire piece, Piece versus Claire being Carmi's piece, as he was saying at the moment, is
Piece of ass.
Exactly. That was a good joke. I really like that one too. But is the space that like I just wonder. I think whether or not Carmi pursues an apology to Claire or something of that nature will reflect his choice of whether he wants or how much, I guess, maybe of a life outside of the kitchen he wants to pursue, and whether or not pursuing the Michelin star is where he wants to go.
Right.
Or if it is like to call his mom, or if it is like to.
Oh, that's right. He never did call his mom.
Yeah, it didn't seem like that was what happened. But also if something like losing their restaurant, if or as the bad review comes in, will that be the end all be all?
But it sounds like so the uncle that's like financing the whole thing, it sounds like no matter what, there's no money.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. And I think he's banking on the idea that it will be a bad review.
Yeah.
As a way to like use that to like save faith.
100%.
Save face.
Kind of, and essentially have it not be his the uncle's bad time with money or something. I don't know, like all these different things. But the space of either way, like I think when you kind of said earlier too, like Carmi is relatively probably not the best narrator for us, like because of his anxiety and because of the mental issues in kind of in him, I think, as much as his family too. But that space of like, even when we like saw those like flashes of him reading that review just before the ending, my brain's like, was it bad? Or like with the words was it just like he pulled out because of his anxiety?
Yeah, exactly. And we got both good and bad words. So it's like,
yes,
and
exactly.
A lot of people, I already looked online, like a lot of people tried to dissect. It's like, you can't tell.
You can't tell. And that was the creativity of the director in that one. Yeah. Speaking of creative directors or creativity in direction, the character who plays Sid, but Ao, was directed an episode.
Yeah,
and I thought she did great. Yeah, I thought she crushed it. I
think that was a great episode.
And then a great episode, so impressive. And I mean, she got to work with John Bernthal and all her fellow castmates too, except for Carmi, kind of. But so good. I thought it was a great, smash hit.
I think they should let each of the casts direct an episode here and there. I think that would not? Except Maddie Madison. Maddie Madison's episode would be pure chaos. Have you watched some of his like cooking shows?
Yes,
it's insane.
It would be chaos.
It's truly insane.
How much of just Maddie and whatever his brother's name was, but the facts, like how much of that do you think was improv and just like they were literally just like, here's the direction of your joke, but just go forth and say some shit.
Because Maddie Madison has said in like interviews, he did a whole thing with Jimmy Fallon actually, and he was even saying like they'll give him an idea, and then he just kind of runs with it because he's like, I'm not like a classically trained actor. He's like, I'm a chef. I just like to have fun.
Oh, a chef on YouTube. Yeah. Like, who has books and stuff.
And he even said, like, from first season to, like, now, they want him more in it. And he's like, he doesn't want to super be more in it. He's in it because, like, it's a show he's helped, like, he's an EP on it. And, like, it's something he cares about, he's passionate about.
I mean, he was in it a lot this season. Yeah. I would say
he's Carmine's best friend.
Honestly, exactly. But, like, I would say, if and as they are keeping this slated as a comedy, like the facts were for sure like the comedic relief. When they would come in, like it'd be like all the haunted jokes and all that stuff. I was like, they're insane. Like they're just like talking out their ass.
I still don't know what it means.
You don't know what it means?
No.
Just being haunted?
Yeah. I've never heard that before. Oh. Is it a real thing or is it something they made up in the show?
I mean, I think there's a blend of it. I mean, like I think that's where they blended kind of like the funny stuff about like it being ghosts or not. Like some people,
well, they said it's not ghosts.
It's not ghosts. It's not always ghosts. Yeah. But like kind of that space of like when someone's haunting you, it's like they're just in your mind all the time.
Oh, that makes more sense.
So it's not really
also like how Joel McHale haunts
Claire. They think Claire is haunting, or he was kind of like, oh, I'm haunted by that. But that's kind of also that space where it's like, I think, in the essence of the anxiety of stuff, like the haunt of, like, are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? Can the bear survive? Or do any restaurants survive? Is fine dining going to survive? Like,
isn't it like 90% of restaurants close in their first year or something?
Something. I'm sure there's like some crazy stat. Number. Yeah. But I don't know. I thought the facts were great, and Maddie is wonderful.
Yes.
And I'm sure if they did have but they probably could get some really dope like food shots or whatever from Matt. It's like it would be a fun episode if Maddie was going to be a director. But
Maddie's like how he does like his newer series. on YouTube, which I can't remember the name of because I'm bad at this. He does like get some creative direction in terms of like the edits.
Yeah.
And they do weird things where like, you know, Maddie will just kind of stare off into space, and then they like add in like what he's thinking from like other time period. It's very strange.
It's very strange.
It's a very like weird. It's weird. It's one of the better like cooking YouTube things out there. And I really like. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. And like maybe it'll happen when the show's done. But like, Maddie cooking like with his cast. Yeah. With the cast, I think would be amazing. Yeah. Like not as their character, like just Maddie is Maddie,
totally,
and then like Jeremy Allen is like Jeremy Allen, like cooking.
That would be
like,
brilliant.
That would be fun to watch. Like it'd be interesting.
That would be a great promo too. I mean, shit, that'd be good press. That'd be a lot of fun. For the essence of where, you know, maybe like the next season is going, we end on Sid having a panic attack, and
well, no, we end on Carmine saying the F word and then looking at the train.
Well, yes, sorry.
Yes.
In Sid's arc, I'm now focusing on Sydney of what we think next part of the season will happen with Sid is like, do you think that Sid, like, what do you think Sid's going to do?
Sid's decision.
I
think she's going to do a press conference and then tell Cleveland to.
I'm taking my talents.
You know what?
It's a South Beach.
No, I think Sid is going like. I think Sid is realizing that she's learned all she really can from Carmine and the restaurant. If she really wants to continue expanding her skills, she needs to be truly in the hot seat. Because
owning her own shit.
The problem is that while like Carmine says all these nice things and promises all this and that, he still has his own shit that he needs to figure out.
Yeah.
And that is like letting go and giving control. And this season, like season 1 and season 2, there was a lot of like letting go and letting Sid run things. Yeah. But this season 3, he's completely gone backwards. Facts. And he's very much become an insane control freak. Yeah. So I could see that. And it doesn't mean that Sid necessarily is going to go and do this other restaurant thing. Okay. It could be very possible that she goes and trains under another chef.
Sure.
It could be, but I don't think we see Sid with Carmine at the start of the next season. And I would love a time jump.
Okay.
I don't
like
think.
How far?
Like a couple months, 6 months.
Oh, months. Okay, you're not thinking years.
No, 6 months.
Got it.
2 months. Okay. Something of that nature. Okay. Just because like we kind of know what's going to happen. Like, yeah. Just, like I would like to speed it up a little bit, just because we don't need to see the intricate.
Yeah.
Like it would be
fallout kind of.
Yeah, like it'd be fascinating just like to jump in to either seeing what Sid's doing next. And then we're also seeing the fallout of Sid leaving, but then also Carmine having to figure out how do you keep money in this place? Yeah. You know, like do you revert back to a sandwich shop and take out some loans or something? Sure. Whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think creatively, like for the essence of like writing the show or something along that nature, I think it would be better. Well, I think it'd be easy to have Sid stay, and like it'd be easy to have it be kind of this like not like, oh, everything ends up pretty and rose colored, but kind of this space of like she chooses to stay at the Bear in a sense. Because then obviously you keep your ensemble cast as it was. You don't have to start like splitting and dividing all this stuff. Because it would be tougher to you know essentially start trying to tell two stories or whatnot. Because I think us as an audience care about Sid. Right. So if she were to go to another kitchen, we would want to see that happen or see her do that. But like for the essence of what I want the character to do as if she was a real person, I would want her to go be able to be at a space that like holds her name up. Obviously it's this guy's restaurant who's inviting her to come out, but her being the CDC, it getting to be her name. There were so many parts of her kind of seeing these things that's like the Bear is while it's a brand name, if you will, like it means the Bearzados, like it's everyone calls them the Bear, like it is like it's Carmi's name, right? Carmi and Sugar's name, really, and being able to have something that like is unequivocally hers. I would love that, like as her character to do that.
Well, remember she had her catering business to start, and that was like her whole way in, and then that obviously didn't work out, so she went back to kind of like roots and learning, right? Because
again, like I mean we know that like all of that also has to do with financials, is the space of like you have to have any, like I mean even the guy who was saying he was creating his own thing, like he got it back, like it wasn't like he was putting his own money into stuff, and like which is always a beautiful thing if you're able to put your own money into something, but largely you have to depend on a loan, right? Or somebody else
or an
backing
investor
you in
or
that.
something.
Right. And so Carmi has his family, which is, TBD how long that will last or if it's lasting at the moment at all. But then for Sid to possibly be able to go do her own thing, like I would just want to see that happen. But if you were to, like, for someone, so we watch this very quickly or whatnot, but as people are watching it or deciding if they want to watch season 3 of The Bear, would you recommend it? How would you explain season 3?
I definitely would recommend it.
Okay.
And I would explain it as, that like one time you got CrossFit. No, drugs and drinking are bad. When you do a lot of drugs and the world is spinning,
and you're just like freaking out.
No, I would say it's like a roller coaster. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
There's the first episode when you're kind of going up that first initial drop, and then after the first initial drop, then you're like into episode like 3 and 4. Maybe there's a spin episode in there. But I think like a roller coaster is probably like the best way to explain it, because it is like up down, side to side.
Sure.
And it's like you're intense the entire time. There is no
intense the entire time.
I think you get the joy at the end.
Yeah.
And that's why, if we're using a roller coaster analogy, it's a roller coaster that has now gone stuck.
Yeah.
And we're at the stuck point. We're stuck.
Yeah.
We're either upside down or something. We're waiting until they get it fixed.
Yeah. Fair.
And then we'll see what season 4 does.
See.
That we all fall into pool of lava or something.
Truly.
I don't know.
We don't know. We aren't sure what's happening. I like that though. And I think I agree with you that I would recommend people to watch it, especially if someone has, obviously if they've liked The Bear, and if someone hasn't seen The Bear, I would still say like go back, watch season 1 and 2, get into season 3.
Definitely don't start with season 3.
Don't start with season. That would make no sense, because I think my way to explain season 3 is it's a largely world building season, if you will.
There's that thing that I hate called character development.
Gross. But it's just this space of like, it's kind of a slumpy season for the sake of like, not that the season was bad. Again, I was very much enjoyed it. And as with any of the seasons of The Bear is like, I want to rewatch it, but I know I can't rewatch it for like a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I also have to be like,
you need a minute.
I can't, it's like, I always do end up rewatching The Bear.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just have to like give myself a pause where it's like, I'm not, because there's some shows where I'm like, restart, like this was great, but this one's like I just need to.
What would be more like like super crazy is like you're gonna rewatch season 3, but instead you watch all 3 seasons, just back to back
chaos.
That's just a weekend of insanity.
Just get my heart palpitations the whole time. Yeah, just insane.
Do you work out? Nah, just watch it. Your heart will be racing as if you did like
you're good.
Fucking 5K.
100%. Let's see your endurance and see if you can make it through.
Yeah.
Essentially almost 30 episodes of The Bear. So I will definitely excitedly rewatch it at some point. But what I would explain this season as, like I said, was world building and the space of like it's essentially like, they're all kind of in this weird slump. I mean, they essentially immediately came off of Carmi and his freak out in the freezer. And I actually kind of thought there would be a time jump from that for this one, but then it not being, it's kind of like we were just kind of in that valley, in that slump with all of them, where they're all kind of like, even though we had some like flashback stuff, and obviously like it wasn't all just like this exact time, but like we kind of got that space where again, everyone was kind of like trying to decide purpose, where they're going, what they want to do. They don't explicitly always talk about like restaurants making it through COVID or not, but there's always kind of that lingering space there. And the like high turnover rate of restaurants at large. And like, so kind of being in that also still feels important to the show though. Like it doesn't feel like it was just like people love to be like, oh, there's like filler episodes or filler, even maybe filler seasons or whatever. But like the space of like this world building is important because like where we're going to go from here,
right,
I think is going to be, especially because it was that to be continued, like, like there's a space of like, we're leaving a cliffhanger, but also like, it's going to be a cliffhanger that like is right there,
right there. Yeah.
Versus like, like let's like let it rip at the end of season 2 and it's like, oh damn, and then they go into like the shithole the next episode. Like it's just so I really do think that this world building season was really important, and I'm like very hopeful or excited that there hopefully can be a season 4 ASAP. but we don't know.
We'll see.
So what are you excited about for season 4? Or what would kind of have you continue to be a Bear fan?
Yeah, I think continue like the creative, interesting episodes, the like music video type episodes.
Yeah.
You know, season 1 had the one shot episode.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2 had the crazy dinner episode.
The Christmas
episode. Like there are those like standout moments. And I think as long as they maintain and continue doing that type of stuff, I think it makes the show interesting.
100%. And I think the essence of what I also love about The Bear is it feels like they're telling the story they want to tell. Like it really like, especially with season 3, I feel like it was kind of this like, we could essentially, you know, tell this entire arc of like how the bear does and how the bear gets its first review and it's like, duh, you know, or something. But I feel like they're kind of like, actually, we're just going to like buckle in right here and keep, and it's like kind of just a space where it's like, as a viewer, like I trust the creators, if you will, to like tell an interesting space in that. So I'm very much with you that I would want to see those. I actually, even like for the essence of like the executive producers of the show or whatnot, Maddie being one of them, and then Hiro Murai, I think is how you say his last name, who did a lot of direction on Atlanta, who also was, which is to me an example of another show that has like very like pointed storytelling moments that sometimes goes for the whole arc and then sometimes is just like a weird ass story in there because they fucking can. And so I really love the EPs of this show. And I just definitely hope that in season 4 it is again this space where it's like make it weird, like keep it weird, everybody. But like
keep
kind
it
of
strange.
You know, like just like this space though where it's like they don't have to just make a sitcom or they don't have to just like make this like same story kind of thing, and they get to make it weird. And like even like when they kind of did that like sleight of hand, I think it was on episode 7 or something, which is what was Marcus watching, like
he was watching a documentary,
but for a solid minute I was like, what the fuck, like wait,
did they accidentally upload the wrong thing?
Literally. But like it was like, but again, it's like what I love about the bear is the bear keeps me on my toes. I'm holding my breath a lot and like have to realize that, but like as a viewer it's captivating and I'm continually captivated by the bear. And so I just hope that they continue to do kind of like left field shit so that we can be kept on our toes and kept hungry, because also every time I watch the bear, except for a couple of those episodes that are so intense, you're like, I can't.
Well, the birthing one, no, I was not that hungry.
That labor was so intense.
I mean, I was like, oh man, ice chips do sound interesting.
Right, like should I just chomp on these? Actually, that is maybe what we all need for this show, is we all need ice chips because we're all stressed. Yeah. We're all just like, it's fine. Just
or nicotine gum. Now I'm curious.
He was popping that shit.
I mean, that's what happens.
No, like, I know, which is good. I mean, I'm all for a character being able to like demonstrate that. So. But anyway, I'm very excited for what's to come. Again, I hope it's as fast as possible that we get season 4.
2 years later.
No, not quickly at all. But I'm excited. And I'm also very excited to take a nap after watching it, because it's also in the best way, if you can, if you will. Exhausting.
So much stress. Yep.
And just like need to think on that one or need to like let it like simmer. But it's definitely, it's like, again, I think a show that leaves people talking and leaves people like, again, captivated or kind of like tantalized in like what the show is about or what it meant to them or what landed for them is like, that's that good stuff.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
Heard chef.
Heard chef.
Like I'm just excited for what's to come. And I mean the show, and in essence for me, season 3 knocked my socks off. So I think it did it itself. Didn't even need a pod on it. It just, you know, it just did it without us even talking about it.
You just wanted to talk about it. That's how good it was.
I did.
Which is fine.
I did.
I thought it was just so we could eat these sandwiches.
It is. So you could eat.
I'm gonna eat my sandwich soon.
I know. Let's get into that.
Yeah, we will. Well, thank you again for watching, listening to Knock Your Socks Off. We just talked The Bear season 3 and our thoughts on sandwiches. As always, you can find us on TikTok at KYSO Podcast and on YouTube, youtube.com/KYSO Podcast. New pods every Saturday. Till then.
Yes, chef. Thank you, chef.
Eat a sub.
Heard chef. Oh my gosh. You really gonna eat it right now?